Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Office Hours. I'm so excited to see you, and this headset is very heavy. If you were at our Instagram earlier, you might have seen that I shared a video of me using the Apple Vision Pro, and what an exciting age of spatial computing and AR we're in, and such a perfect time to learn about AR and Effect House. So welcome to another fun episode. I'm really glad that you guys are here. We have a poll going right now. Would you rather be rich or famous? August, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
August, would you be rich or famous?
It's hard to choose between which one do I have to stop being? I don't know.
Personally, for me, I was originally thinking of famous because if you have 1,000 friends and you each have them give you $10, that's $10,000. But also at the same time, famous is an thing that you can lose super easily, so you can easily become canceled overnight. So I don't know. It's a hard decision.
Is that why you keep asking me for $1 each week?
I just go around every week and ask my friend for $1. No, I'm kidding, guys, but that is so hilarious. I want to know what you guys think. So make sure to go vote. We already have 20 votes in. Guys, this is amazing. We have Abdi on the call, MA3 designer. Welcome back, you guys. And a person with a super cool black and white profile image. And Heather is saying, a will you be famous or rich personality quiz would be awesome. That sounds like a great idea for an effect. Alone Girl, welcome. Muhammad, hi. I also see Sasha and Tigist. So everyone, super welcome. Nice to see you again. Let's start off with a fun. All right, guys, are you guys seeing this transition? Isn't it so smooth and beautiful? Our design team made it for us, and now every time we're switching, we have the Effect House logo whooshing. That looks so pretty. Our design team is amazing. But August, what do you have with us today?
Well, I got something to show off. Let's take a look at the Gaussian blur. Now, for anybody who is not familiar or not very technical, a Gaussian blur is just a box blur. It's just a type of blur where you're taking each pixel and averaging it with the pixels next to it. It's called Gaussian blur because some scientist with that name used a specific formula of how much to blend in each pixel based on the direction to get this perfect blur. So what you're seeing here is just a different Gaussian blur than is in our asset store. And as you can see, there are some different controls. And I think if you change the image LOD, that means level of detail, all the way down to 1. That's actually the most detail. And it'll be like the smoothest Gaussian blur. So if you have a project that doesn't have a lot, it's not very heavy, and you want it to just look really good, I would keep that all the way at 1. And then there's a lot of other options here to kind of change this mask. So you can kind of, fill from one direction, change which direction it's going, fill from the side. You can change the roundness of these corners. So if anything, even if you don't need the blur, this is kind of a cool little shader where you can look at how to make a box with variably rounded edges. And then the darken or brighten is interesting too. Just some little options to play with, and then you can look in the shader and see how it was done, and that will probably be helpful if you're trying to learn. So take a look at this one, and if you need a Gaussian blur and you want to try something different from the asset library one, check this one out.
Background is a simple gray color, so I feel like it's just your face that's blurry, and it's tripping me out. It is crazy. I'm wondering if can we change the square to another shape, or is it just the square?
Well, let me add this to the set this to brighten all the way. Yeah, so if you change the rounded edges all the way to 1, it becomes a circle.
Oh, very
So
nice.
this is a really interesting, nice slider. I like it.
Wow. Guys, this kind of reminds me of the live that we did with Melody where she showed us how to use the all of the different instances to create something like this, and using a head tracker so it has a smooth motion. And remember that time where we made it look like it was olive oil and some vinegar? That's what it reminds me of. But this one is also a cool effect, and I can't wait to see what you guys make with this. So if you guys post something with this, let us know. Let us know. Good evening, my friend, as well. If you guys have any technical questions about anything, please let us know. We're here to answer. Okay, let's get started. I know that we have been getting a lot of questions about the effect creator rewards and the money and effect payments. And for those, you should be able to reach out to support. And we're also preparing an episode where we give you guys the inside look into what the process and how everything is going. So tune in for that. Max MA8 Rick's test is asking, does anyone have template or tips on how the golden ticket scratch works? We have a scratch off template, right?
Yeah, so that was created with the scratch off template. I think pretty soon after we released that template. So let's see if we can find it. I don't remember it being this far back. Wow, it was kind of far back. So the scratch and reveal is a template that we created to show off a different way to use the new brush node when we release the 2D brush node. So what's really happening is that we're drawing with a brush on a mask, and that mask is being used to decide where to render this gray silvery texture. So if we take a look, and maybe you don't need to know all this, maybe you just want to jump in and make something, but we can dive in just briefly to see how kind of simple this is. So what we're doing is we are drawing with the brush node using this draw on touch interaction subgraph. This can be added anytime you click. If you add a 2D image and you want that to be your canvas, you can just select it and then see this add interaction button. I think if you've never used this, it could be really amazing for learning, because you can click add interaction and you can add any of these subgraphs that are automatically attached to that object. So this is where we have the screen touch draw on touch subgraph. And when you add this, it will add this subgraph with a whatever you selected as your target canvas. So we basically have a target canvas, and then we also have this material where we're basically creating this mask, and then we're basically using the material to say, instead of just painting, just look at where we have painted and just don't draw this silvery texture. So that's in here, this scratch off 2D brush material in the material editor. And as you can see, it's super simple. It's just looking at the alpha of our brush and the alpha of our other texture. And then we're just basically multiplying them so that well, it's kind of the inverse of the brush, I guess, or the brush maybe is on a white texture with a black color brush, so or something like that. So we're basically just saying whenever we brush, remove texture. But yeah, you don't really need to know all of this if you're not interested. All you need to do is just know that I think this gray box is the one. Yeah, so if we turn this off and on, so if you were replace the gray box with whatever you want to be erased, and replace the other pieces, like ticket background, with whatever you don't want to be erased. That's all you need to know. So I hope you make some cool stuff.
Okay, thank you so much. Someone from the Discord chat is asking, from our live chat, a lot of people were interested if you can turn the Gaussian blur shape from either a square or a circle, but to a heart shaped.
I mean,
I think so. And if not, maybe you can set the edges to the square shape and use the alpha feature to make it into a heart shape.
the alpha feature. Yeah, let's take a look.
Alpha lerp. Hello everyone. I see that you guys are joining. I'm wondering where you are joining in from today. So please let us know. I'm very interested. I'm seeing some new names on the chat and I would love to know where you guys are joining in from. What time is it there? Have you had lunch, dinner, breakfast? Speaking of chat, would you rather challenge is very competitive right now. Famous is winning slightly by 53%, and Rich is 46%. Oh, now it's 54%. It's a very close tie, and I'm a little surprised that more people would choose to be famous than Rich. Because one thing that I know a lot of famous people go through is that they're constantly like followed by paparazzis, and everything that they do gets on the news. So I don't know. Perhaps it would be the best thing if you're rich and nobody knows you and you can spend all your money in a secluded, nice mansion and eat delicious food. I don't know. Right now, I'm leaning more towards rich.
Okay, so I'm not going to write the mathematical equation to show a heart, but like Celine said, we can take an image and use it as a mask. So maybe just this pixel heart that I found in the 2D section. And then we can select that here. Oh, my screen is not set up in the right way. So basically we have our Gaussian blur shader. If you've ever looked inside of it, at the bottom section there is this rounded rectangle function, which is my favorite part, and that's, I think, probably the most interesting thing to find in this one. But instead of a rounded rectangle, I think we could just sample this heart texture, and we would probably want the texture coord, not the screen coordinate. And then with that, we just use this alpha. And we're using this alpha because it's pretty much the same thing the rounded rectangle is outputting. It's just either a 1 or a 0 or something in between based on if that current pixel that you're looking at has transparency. So we do this. There, we've got a nice...
I think that turned out to be so much cooler than just like a regular heart.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, you could use that for a lot of things. I feel like if you get comfortable with masking, look how simple and quick it was. Just using this as a mask. Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite hacks because I feel like with a mask, you can just do so many things. So let's say you wanted to create kind of our 2D portal effect where only this part of your face is x-rayed, has an x-ray or thermal LUT applied to it, and the other parts are just regular. You can use the mask feature, or if you just wanted to have a special effect on your hand, you can totally do this with portrait segmentation using our hand segmentation. So the possibilities are endless, and this is definitely an amazing sub-graph to know. Heather says, wow, this is awesome. Never thought to use an alpha of an image. Now you know. Perfect.
Nice.
we have another question from the chat. MA3 Designer is asking, how can we connect 2D textures to world position or world normal?
2D position to world. Sorry.
How can we connect 2D texture to world position or world normal? Maybe they're thinking about using the back camera and putting a 2D texture in the world somehow at a specific location.
Okay. Well, okay. So the first thing I'll kind of show is let's just open a new project. The first thing I would show is if you go to add object 3D image, this is essentially a 2D image texture in the 3D world. So it has a 3D transform and it can be moved around in that world space. Another thing you can do is you can create, and if you have the 3D image, I don't know why you would do this, but you can create a plane. And then to show an image on a plane, you would just go to material, unlit, add an unlit material to your assets. And then in the unlit is where you would put your image, your texture in this albedo section. And then on your plane, you just want to make sure that you attach it. So now you have that. And we'll just add it to the image so you can compare how they kind of look as well. Is this default texture? I forget. Yeah. So now we have these two, and they're both in world space with 3D transforms. And then the last way is if you actually have a 2D screen image, and if for some reason you need it to move to a 3D world space, let's see. So world to screen, this, yeah, so I think this will only give you the position of like the center of it. So this is not the way I would recommend, just because, here, I'll show you in a sec. Let's use a head tracker. So AR tracking, right? Yeah. So the head tracker, we'll use this position, get position. So this is our world position from our head tracker. And then we also have, keep forgetting to zoom in. So we have our head tracker position, and then the camera. I think we have to select the 3D camera, not the 2D camera, because it's the camera that's looking at the object that is giving you this position. And then we have our screen position on the other side. So let's set that to our screen, our 2D screen image. And we'll just use update so that it's constantly setting it. And then, oh, right. Huh, why doesn't it move? It's because it's a normalized screen position, meaning 0 to 1. If you look at these values, they're only going from 0 to 1. Now that's the same kind of numbers that come out of the finger touch node. 0 on the left, 1 on the right. So one thing we can do is we can go to our asset library, visual scripting, and we can find screen to pixel, the subgraph that I've used probably 500 million times. And we'll put it in here, and it just does the whole thing for us. We just plug it in, and it'll convert that 0 to 1 to our full screen space. So this works great for touch. That's where I usually use it, but sometimes I'll use it for a world to screen node. But yeah, just make sure to download this from the asset library and put it in your project if you need to do any of these conversions, because it just handles everything for you. And then, yeah, so as you can see, if I move my head forward or backward, it's not going to give us like a scale change or anything else. It's not going to change the size. It's just changing the position. So you can set something to the position of a point from 3D to 2D, but it's not going to look like it's moving in 3D space unless you actually add it to the head tracker. Yeah, I think that covers like the 3 different ways that you could do that.
Giving us all of the options. I absolutely love it. Mike Black, MA3 designer asked for a clarification question. I'm so sorry, August, if we led you in a different way, but they meant it in the material editor where there's a shader color and the world position, world normal. So they are wondering if they can connect a 2D texture to those.
You know what? I would just try. Let's see. I'll be honest, I haven't messed too much with I think the world normal, world tangent, world position. These are for the fragment shader. Can you hook up a 2D texture? So, okay. Now this is just this is just out somewhere in the empty can that is my brain. It's bouncing around there. I don't know where it's from, but I'm pretty sure if you want to do anything with fragment shaders, you have to use sample texture 2D LOD. Now, I'm not 100% sure why, but let's take a look at these. Sample texture 2D. So whenever you look at this shader output, it's kind of unique, and it really matters what's plugged into it. Just as a quick example for people who aren't familiar, I'll add a parameter. We'll just have a float here, and we'll add it here. And so now we have this float parameter, which, if for anybody who doesn't know Material Graph, float is the same thing as number in the visual scripting. Float is just a specific type of data type. So this just means number, floating point number. That just means any number with a decimal, or that could have a decimal. So we take that and we see, if we click on empty material over here, and then we look in the inspector, we see there's not really any options. We don't have this float parameter. But if I connect it to the color output of the shader, instantly we get this float output that we can change. So this shader, as you can see in the bottom right corner, we can actually put this material onto the plane, since we're messing with that now. So we'll put empty material on the plane. So now when we select our material and we change this float input, you can see it's just changing the color. I love working with shaders like this, where I'm hooking up some value that I can interact with and then see it render on the screen. It makes it much more interactive, and you can like understand how the material editor works a lot more quickly when you can like interact with it a little bit. So yeah, we have this float that only appears if this is connected to the shader. And now if I slash this, now that float goes away. And so in the same way, our sample texture 2D connected to this color, everything that's leading up to this, if we plug this, well, let's see. Let's just make an ad. Oh, this is an ad that only works with the, okay. So I think we need a vec2. Let's just use a coordinate. This will convert this to a vec2 real quick. We can just do this. So now that the float is plugged into a node that's plugged into sample texture 2D, that's plugged into the shader, if we go back over to empty material here, you'll see that it appears here again. And that kind of shows you that from this color output, everything that's connected to it is basically in this fragment shader. So it's almost like everything that's connected to color is separate from everything that's connected to world position, world normal. They kind of execute at a different time. So one happens, the fragment shader happens first, which is these 3 bottom ones, and then the color is calculated. So because of that, I think there is some difference where sample texture 2D maybe won't be executed during these pieces, And so that's why we have sample texture 2D LOD, which will be able to execute during these. So if you're connecting, if you want to change the world position of the vertices, you can use sample texture 2D LOD. So I think that is the question you were trying to figure out, because I also took a minute to figure that out and just kind of ask around, how does this work? And that was the answer that I got.
I think that answered adequately, perfectly. I didn't know that this feature existed, and now I'm excited to add my 2D textures to World Material as well. So thank you. I was also thinking back on the question of adding a heart shaped for the Gaussian blur face effect. And if you check out Melody's heart ripple template, she shows there how she generated that heart shaped using a math graph. So if you just want to go in there and steal that part and add it to the Gaussian blur, so you can materially generate the heart and even create some kind of ripple, combine those two effects. So every time you tap on the screen, you will have a bunch of hearts, Gaussian blurred hearts just shooting towards you. Go right ahead. Take parts of the template, combine it like you're cooking. Okay.
Nice.
Mike Blackhat is asking, I would like some examples of what I can do with the final render texture output of the camera. Do you have any good examples, August?
Final render texture out. So the final render texture out of the camera, is that the default? Yeah, so that's the default. Oh, that's the only one I can select as the render texture for this first camera. Interesting.
Perhaps right now, because there's no other rendered textures. Maybe if you create one.
I thought there were more built-in render textures though. Yeah, there should be a lot more built-in. I wonder why. I guess the camera can only output to that one. Yeah, I maybe we're consolidating some of the textures now. But yeah, so what you can do with that is, it's what I like to do is, let me think. So imagine, let's just put something on the head tracker here, like this image. So we say we want to attach this to our head, and then say we want to do like a shader on this second camera. Well, maybe I'll find an interesting shader. Would that be in screen effects? So yeah, let's say that I wanted to do this punch hole. I don't know what this punch hole is, but yeah, that looks rad. So in punch hole material, we can go into the material editor and we can, oh wow, there's a lot going on here. So a lot of these are probably different layers. I mostly wanted to find where we're sampling, doing this 2D sample texture, and find where they're getting the screen input. Okay. Maybe I should have picked a simpler one. There's a lot going on here. Oh, I can't seem to click into this one. Okay. Maybe we will pick a simpler one. I think this one has multiple layers of different stuff happening. We kind of just want something a little more simple. Like this fisheye. Fisheye makes the most sense. Simple fisheye. I feel like fisheye is like, oops, one of the first ones that I tried to make when I was first learning shaders. Okay, and we definitely want to take punch. No, we'll leave punch hole on, but we'll look at the other one. I'm gonna make so many punch hole effects after this. Empty materials. Oh, fisheye. Fisheye is not an editable material, I guess. Huh. All right, back to the library. Look how studious we are. I am curious which ones we could try this. No, that one has multiple layers. I wonder about this solution one. That one's kind of cool. Kind of watery, kind of using noise to. I think they're basically using noise to offset the place that they sample from the texture. Solutions. Okay, we can edit this material. Beautiful. Can we edit material? Oh. There's a button, but I don't. Is this solutions? Wait. This might be the fisheye, this empty material. It looks like fisheye.
I don't know what it is, but it looks super cool. Did you combine the two effects? Maybe the fish hole with pin.
Yeah, it's like all of the effects. I'm gonna release this after we're finished.
This is all it takes. You guys saw clicking, experimenting, mixing stuff, and boom. And boom. Look at my cat over here. Thank you for everyone who dropped the cat emoji.
Oh, here we are. Okay, middle render result. So us civilians don't have access to create this. I think these gray nodes that you sometimes see are special nodes. But what I was gonna say, oh, that looks sick. I'm gonna use that for my album cover. Sorry. I was gonna say here is where I would use final render out. That's all I was gonna say. So final render out is, as you can see on my head, there's still that checkerboard. And a lot of people, when they're doing shaders or anything else, will kind of default to camera input texture. And if you do that, it won't use any of the previous things that were rendered. So if you want to use camera input texture, that's the most plain, most basic one. But keep in mind, default camera mask texture or face mask output. Play around with all of these to find the ones that you think work best for your effect. So basically what happens is when you're using TikTok, when you're using the app to shoot your video, a lot of times people will have the makeup settings on. Like retouch, there's retouch, and then there's like further makeup settings where you can kind of change the color of your lips, all of these things that are not even in an effect, they're just in the default camera. So the camera input texture is actually just the base camera without any of those retouch things. So people who like to use retouch to make their skin look smoother, or to add a little bit of like color to their lips and stuff like that, might not be happy if you're using the camera input texture, because then all of their lip color settings and their skin smoothing settings will actually disappear. Whereas if you use the face mask output, I'm pretty sure that's it, then it'll keep all of those pieces. So yeah, I guess just a built-in render texture lesson we're doing here. But yeah, if you want to make sure that you keep everything up until the last camera rendered, you always use final out. Final final render output, not to be confused with filter render output
Oh
or
my
built-in.
gosh, we gotta do another dedicated session that's entirely about the different render textures and the different options because there's so many.
There are. They each have
Um,
their purpose.
okay, sounds good. I hope that was helpful, Mike. We have another question about how we can create something like this flood effect. Have you seen? It is using Material Editor and it is using the depth texture and adjusting the bottom so it looks like it's underwater. Or you can use this as a clever excuse to tell your manager, "Oh no, my apartment is flooded due to the recent we've been getting so much rain here in LA recently." So you can say, "Oh no, my apartment flooded. I can't go to work today." But August, do you by chance know how we can achieve something like this?
Oh my God. Are you telling me I didn't have to flood my apartment?
August flooded his entire apartment just so he can send a photo to work and say like, "Oh no, I can't go in." But now you have this effect, baby, and you don't even need to actually flood your apartment.
That's great. That's a marvel of technology. Yeah, that's I think I have seen that effect. It's really awesome. What did we want to do with that effect?
I think maybe some kind of way to use depth texture so we can create that water-like feeling.
Let's see. That one I might need time to think about.
Okay, sounds good. David has a question on the YouTube chat. David is asking, is it possible to track two hands and specific index fingers on both or on both hands? If so, and how? And how hand information works. So I guess a little bit about gesture tracking.
So gesture tracking is actually separate from hand tracking. So the gesture tracking would be using the hand gesture node, but here I'll show it actually. So we have hand detection and hand info. So hand detection. Oh yeah, that just checks if the hands are on screen. But gesture detection, which maybe should be renamed to hand gesture detection, in my opinion, to make it more easy to find. Here's where you have all of the different hand gestures, and if you look through them, there's actually quite a few. Some of them might be more regional than others, like victory might not be 100% understandable by everyone from every different region, but you can go on the website, and in our learning resources, you can actually look at like actual pictures of what each of these means. And some of them takes a little practice. I feel like some of them, it's like maybe the thing that the algorithm is looking for is the fingers. Some of them, it's more of the hand part. So just try them out and see which ones are a little bit more natural. And yeah, definitely like test them out before you lock them in as part of your effect. Find the ones that work best.
Also, we have a related question from the Discord channel. It seems like a lot of people are interested in AR gestures recently. E-Noodle is asking, "Hi all, I would like to make an effect where I can move a 2D object that are with AR gestures." And I remember, August, that you created some kind of effect like this where you could use the pinch gesture and kind of move stuff.
Yeah, so we'll get back to this hand tracker question because we didn't actually answer it yet, but we'll go real quick. We'll take a look at the asset library, and we'll go down to visual scripting, where there's, it's not like there's a million things here, but the things here, you should check them out. They're cool. Hand pinch, drag and drop. Now, I will say this is a little touchy. It's a little touchy. So we'll add a 2D image, 2D screen image, and then we'll add our pinch, drag and drop subgraph. And all we have to do for it to work is select our scene object as that screen object. Select that screen object as our scene object. I should be a rapper. Okay, and then we have to have our hand tracker and our hand camera. So we have our hand tracker here. So we'll select that. And then we also have our hand camera, which is just the camera that's looking at the hand tracker. So it's going to be that 3D one. And then the snap to center and global grab empty, we can leave those alone unless we're doing more complex things. And then that's all you have to do. And this subgraph will allow you to, oh no. Did I actually? Let me see. Do I actually have to? I don't think I set it up, so I have to do this. Okay. Something is happening. But yeah, this is using gesture detection. Huh. I wonder if something screen image hand camera. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot. This is in the info here. So if anybody else happens to use this and gets stuck in the same way that I'm stuck with my own subgraph, just remember to switch the hand tracker to track the index finger. That's very important. So if it's not tracking the index finger, it won't be using the correct point when you're grabbing, like this. So this works about as well as you can expect kind of 2D hand tracking on mobile to work. I think it's really good. You just can't go too fast, and you can't grab it to where part of your hand is going off the screen, or it won't kind of recognize the gesture anymore. But yeah, that could be, I would love to see that pop up in some games. I released it in a couple things as well, but yeah, sometimes the simpler the better. But if you have a fun game idea that goes with this, oh yeah, and you don't need this part.
I think in next episode of August Game Jam, Create an Effect with Me edition, we should do a whole bunch of ideas that are inspired by this pinch and drag, where you either have to like use the finger and navigate it through a maze, or you use it to control where you drop the ball. And we can make so many games, and you guys will come in the chat, tell us, oh, you should make this, and we'll make it for you. And I think that would be such a fun episode.
Yeah, that would be cool. I feel like there could be some really hard challenges trying to use this hand gesture to move something through like a delicate maze. That would be pretty
and then if you touch the side, it beeps your entire screen, and you have a game over, and it shows you how long it took for you to go through the entire maze.
Exactly.
Greg is leaving such a cute message. Greg Conti is saying, as always, thank you to Celine and August for hosting these. Learn something every week. Aw, that's so sweet, Greg. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, should I answer the hand tracker question now?
Yes,
please. And basically what they were asking is there a way to track two hands? Right? Or
yeah, there were multiple questions. The first question was, is it possible to track two hands and specific index fingers?
Yeah, so basically the answer to that unfortunately is no. Currently our hand tracking is just kind of any hand. So although you can specify any part of the hand, it's basically going to snap to whichever hand pops up first. So it's going to be kind of a race condition. And then the hand detection node, like I mentioned before, you can check if a single hand is on the screen or if both hands are on the screen. And so you could do a little bit of a tricky calculation to sort of try to figure out if it's the first hand or the second hand based on that, comparing that and the hand tracker's outputs. But yeah, I would say if you need to do something complex where both hands are on the screen and you have to track both hands' index fingers, what you would want to do is probably use the body avatar drive. And then you could at least compare the the hand tracker data to the body avatar drive screen position and see, is this the right hand or the left hand, and maybe do some combined logics there. But I will say, if you're combining hand tracking with body avatar drive, I haven't tried that before, but I would be cautious about that being like a very heavy effect that has a risk of being, low frames per second.
Okay, sounds good. Guys, thank you for the wonderful feedback that you guys are leaving. I think it is super helpful. I'll make sure that the team gets these amazing recommendations, but also make sure to go to our forums. I think it is community.effecthouse.com, and there you can also leave it in the feature recommendations. So people would see it and say, wow, this is such a good idea. I gotta participate, and thumbs up. So definitely check it out. Also, I have a little shout out for a similar and awesome product that we guys have. It is the TikTok Shop Challenge. So for those of you who've ever used TikTok Shop to purchase anything, or if you're even a seller, we have this challenge for the developers. So these people are the ones who are creating awesome APIs that makes the lives of sellers and buyers easy, and they're running a challenge, and effect creators can participate as well because they are giving out some big prizes with big awards. So it's not an Effect House challenge per se, but it is something that the TikTok team is doing, and they said, wow, I feel like your effect creators are so smart, so creative, they could definitely participate in this challenge as well. So we decided to send a little message to you guys. So if you are interested, and if you have any kind of software engineering background, definitely go check it out. Okay, sounds good, guys. That is the end of the day, end of the stream, but it was so nice to see you guys. And let's take close attention at the screen if you haven't already, because I'm about to show you guys the awesome, cool screen transition, which I'm super excited about again. 3, 2, 1. Bam! Look at that. Smooth.
Whoa, how did I get up here?
Production level quality. So, again,
Whoa,
thank you guys.
my apartment.
What?
Oh.
I'm in my apartment.
I was going to say my apartment isn't flooded anymore. Thanks, Celine.
Yeah. Bye, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
See you later.